Hi, hello, and welcome back, you guys. Long time no get ready with me. So I'm finally sitting down doing my makeup, which I feel like is not a rarity nowadays, but just less common because mom life. But Chris has bangs. I'm sitting down in some peace and quiet and I am doing my makeup. But I figured I would sit down, do my makeup, let's get ready, let's chit chat, catch you guys up. Life on motherhood, what's been going on. So as I'm filming this today, Banks is exactly 4 months, which is crazy. I cannot believe it. It actually blows my mind that I have a 4-month-old. Time has flown by and it's weird because it's honestly one of those things where it's like you're so happy to see your baby growing and developing and learning new things, but I'm also like, what the heck, time, please slow down, please. It's a very weird mixture of emotion, which honestly, that's what all of postpartum is what I'm finding. So I guess Banks is 4 months and I'm 4 months postpartum. My postpartum journey overall has been pretty good. I have tried my best to just soak up every single second, and there's definitely challenging moments, but for the most part, I feel like I've been thriving. I have loved motherhood. I have loved just taking care of my baby and all the little things that come with it. Anytime I do a question box on Instagram, I always get asked like how I'm doing mentally, if I've had any postpartum depression or anxiety or anything like that, and I haven't. I am anxious in general. I feel like I have high functioning anxiety, so I definitely have still had my little moments of anxiety here and there, but I wouldn't say that I've had like postpartum anxiety at all. Just like my normal anxiety that I get here and there. I feel super lucky because overall, for the most part, he does sleep pretty good, but the biggest thing that we struggled with is naps. So that has kind of trickled into me trying to balance my days and figure out what a daytime routine looks like, because I do watch him full time. I'm with him all day every day, which I'm so thankful for and I do love, but it's just, again, figuring out that balance of work and then being a mom, taking care of him, being there for him, and kind of what my day is going to look like. And I was really lucky. Chris was home with me for the first 8 weeks, but then he is back to work and he still is hybrid, so he has some work from home days. But obviously with him being out so long, like as soon as he came back, his work was like, okay, we need you. So he's been booked and busy, but it was super nice having him home for 8 weeks. So figuring out our routine with him being back at work full time has also been like another little hurdle that I've been trying to figure out. I recently downloaded the Pampers like sleep coach app. I saw one of my friends on Instagram share it and it just looked really helpful. And starting out, I really didn't track anything. I wasn't like, I mentally was taking notes of everything, but I wasn't logging his nap times and all of that. But I am at a point where I feel like I just absolutely needed to try to set up my day and get into some sort of routine, and that has been such a game changer. That has really helped me and I can't recommend it enough. I paid for the subscription, but I mean, it is truly amazing, and that is something I've used more recently. I wish I would have gotten sooner, and it has really helped me set up my day and just kind of get a better handle on what his routine is, what my day is going to look like, when I can, you know, have meetings or do work, that sort of thing. So if you're not familiar with it, and I'm sure there's other apps that do this too, this is just the one that I'm familiar with and have used. For example, I log when he went to sleep, I log when he woke up, I can log if he wakes up at all, I can log bottles, which I have been doing just to make sure like he's getting enough and to track the timing of them. But from there, it makes predictions based on his age and his sleep time, and will say this is how long we think his wake window is going to be, this is about when his nap is going to be, this is how long his nap is going to be. And I was skeptical at first, but it is spot on. It is pretty spot on. So that has been a huge help and a huge game changer, because I feel like the last few weeks, because work has been so busy this time of year, which I'm so thankful for, but obviously it's a whole different dynamic trying to balance the work with watching him. I had been feeling so overwhelmed. So this has been helping a lot. And does it mean he's going to nap on cue every single time? No, it doesn't, but it is pretty spot on and definitely helps me have just a better handle of when he's going to go down for his naps, about how long he is going to be awake for, all of that. And for example, like it might give you an estimated wake window and a nap time, but if he goes to bed earlier or later than the suggested nap time, you just plug that in and then it updates the remainder of your day too, which is just so helpful. It really has allowed me to just kind of like pivot, which is nice. And I mean, we're definitely still figuring things out, but it's at least just a huge help. And I feel like I have a little bit of a better handle on my days. I will say, I feel like now looking back, I probably was a little bit more anxious about taking him out places and going out and about and just like driving with him solo, like more so than I thought. And that's hindsight 2020 now, because I am getting more comfortable with that. But I think that's also just like figuring out his schedule too. And obviously it's my first time being a mom, so just, I don't know, getting more comfortable driving with him, getting him in and out of car seats, all of that sort of thing. It is a lot. It takes me a lot to get him out the door, because it took me a lot as it is to get myself out the door. But that is something that I'm trying to get more comfortable with and just be better about doing, so I'm not in the house all the time. I am really good about getting outside and doing walks with him. Oh, I have a hair, which I love and he loves, but I definitely wanted to gain some more independence back and being able to feel comfortable putting him in the car and just like getting out of the house. I really, to be honest with you guys, I've only driven solo with him a handful of times, like less than 5 times. And I've only taken him solo like to a place by myself one time, and that was just to the new Starbucks that opened up down the street. But he did really well. I felt really good, and once I did that, I was like, okay, like this is good. And Chris and I finally took him out to eat, to sit down at a restaurant for the first time. We had kind of been nervous about doing that, which I know it sounds silly. I feel like some people are just really good from the get about taking their baby everywhere with them, which we don't not take him, but we just hadn't really been going anywhere, if that makes sense. It was more like, okay, we're just gonna, you know, like DoorDash, or Chris will run out and get us coffees, but we're not gonna load up the car and go sit down, things like that. And I feel like it was just getting to that time where I just started having more of an itch to feel like, okay, let's figure this out, let's just do it. But he's been so good everywhere we have taken him. I feel like the biggest thing is him being fed. If he has a full belly, he is good to go. When we took him to brunch the other day, he literally fell asleep and slept almost the whole time, which was nice. But hopefully some of you can relate, because I feel silly as I'm explaining it, but it's also one of those things that I'm like, if you know, you know, if you get it, you get it. So all that to say, I'm just feeling more comfortable with him, more comfortable taking him places, more comfortable in his routine and schedule and his little habits and mannerisms and all of that, to be like, okay, we got this. We can go somewhere solo and we can actually leave the house. Okay, brief intermission because Chris had a work call come through. I had to go grab Banks. He was crying. It was time for his nap, so I had to put him down. But now that that's been settled, back to getting ready. Anyways, on the topic of anxiety, I feel like it is a little nerve-wracking to talk about some aspects of postpartum online, at least, because I feel like it's so easy for people to misconstrue what you're saying, or for people to pick out like one point of what you shared or what you're talking about and then turn it into something. And I would say 99% of people are super supportive and sweet and just genuinely kind across my channels, but then there's that 1% that is just not. And I definitely have had unsolicited advice and opinions come through while I've been in postpartum and since I've had Banks. Honestly, I feel like more so than when I was pregnant, which I kind of expected. But I've been trying to figure out how to navigate it, because I've always been really open and candid and transparent online. But part of me has felt like I It's not that I haven't been, it's just I maybe am not sharing as much as I would even like to, really to protect like my peace and my own mental health, because I'll tell you what, especially in the beginning, like getting a message that is just nasty and telling you that you're either not doing something correct for your child that is putting them in danger, or you know, not good for their health or something, or diagnosing you and saying like, oh, do you have postpartum depression? Like you should go get checked for this. Getting that on the off moment is devastating. It doesn't feel good at all. And like, I know misery loves company and people project, and that's not the case. Like there's never been a time where somebody has sent me a message like that and it's like, oh yeah, they're right. But it is infuriating. It's not fun, and yeah, I mean, I think it's normal to not want to get a message like that, but then there's the other part of me that's like, I just don't care. I don't care. I guess I'm sharing that because there are days where like sometimes I am struggling. I feel so behind. I feel so overwhelmed. I have a million things to do. I'm covered in spit up. It's in my hair. It's on my shirt. There's piles of laundry. Like I feel like I absolutely do not have it together at all, and there's some days that are just like that, and I would love to come on and just be more transparent in sharing that. But I also have not really wanted to open myself up to sharing that, and then people being like, oh, you must be depressed, or oh, something must be wrong, or oh, she must not be enjoying motherhood. It's not that at all. I enjoy it more than anything. I love it more than anything. It's been such an amazing experience. I feel very lucky for the experience that I've had. It is unfortunate though that some people just want to misconstrue those things. So I feel like overall I'm just getting more comfortable with talking about it and sharing it, and just not caring if somebody's going to misunderstand me pretty much. But it is unfortunate that moms sharing their journey even have to worry about that, because I don't think anybody wants to, you know, come on and share like, oh, I'm just having an off day, and then have people read into it and think like, oh, she must not be doing a good job, she must be struggling, she must need help, she must not be okay mentally, and just blow things out of proportion. When it's like, no, all is good, life is great, I'm just having an off day because this is new and we're figuring things out. And I guess that's the other thing, and I guess that's what I was trying to communicate earlier, but I don't know if I quite hit the point home when I'm talking about figuring out our days and like being comfortable with taking him out and stuff. Like everything is so new. I've never done this before. It's Banksy's first time on this earth. Like everything is new for him. So much of these first few months, and I'm sure this first year, and honestly just in general, is figuring things out. And I know that. I would like to think that other moms would know that too, and like give grace to people who are in postpartum. But I mean, I think so far it's just like a lot of learning, and then you get comfortable, and then you pivot and make changes as needed, and that's okay. I think it's important to remember that that's okay. Overall though, I feel super lucky as well. I mentioned he does sleep pretty good at night. We're figuring out the nap still, which is fine. But he is so chill and just like a happy baby unless he's hungry. When he's hungry, he's obviously not. Hungry is another story, but when he has a full belly, I mean, he's just such a content, happy, relaxed little baby. And we get told that all the time from other people who see him and meet him and stuff, which obviously is nice to hear. He's just such a cute, happy boy, and I feel really lucky for that. He does spit up a lot, which, you know, is not my favorite, but that's fine. What can you do? So him and I both have multiple outfit changes a day sometimes. I have heard from so many of my friends who have babies that that normally changes once they hit the 6-month mark. I've had friends who said even the like spittiest babies, like something just changes overnight at the 6-month period. So I obviously don't want to wish away time by any means, but it also would be great to not have to worry about the spit up constantly. I feel like I should probably do a question box soon so I can do like a full Q&A on just, I don't know, all the things baby, postpartum, all of that. But to kind of switch topics over to postpartum, because I'm 4 months postpartum now, there's been a lot. There's been so much. And like I mentioned, I feel really, really thankful that mentally I felt well. Have I cried in these 4 months more than normal? Yes, but 90% of the time it's happy tears. I've very seldom cried because like I am sad. It's more so like I've been overwhelmed and had to cry, but I have happy tears all the time. I literally look at him still and get emotional because I'm like, I can't believe you're mine. I can't believe you're here. You're just so cute. You're so perfect. I love you. I want to squish you. So that's been fun because otherwise I'm not a crier at all. And I've been emotional at little things like that, but I wouldn't say I've had baby blues, which again, just super thankful that I've felt good this whole time because I didn't know what to expect going into it. I have had a lot of physical changes. I feel like my body's obviously different, not in a bad way. Like I knew that would happen. I knew that would come. I have embraced all of those. That's totally fine. Talking about the body changes I feel like is also difficult because people just, because I would love to just be totally candid about my thoughts on pregnancy and postpartum body changes, but again, it's one of those things where I feel like people will just pluck one thing and really twist your words and kind of misconstrue things. I will say my gestational diabetes did go away, so that was great. I was able to breastfeed for 6 weeks, but I really started off combo feeding from the start because that's just what I knew I wanted to do. Breastfeeding is a huge responsibility, and I knew that I would want Chris's help. I knew that I didn't want to be the only source of food, and I know people have strong opinions on that, and I've kind of shied away from fully talking about it. But for me, like mentally, I knew that would be best for me. I knew combo feeding would be the best route for me, and it was. I only made it to 6 weeks because Banksy boy just is a big guy. Everyone thinks he's so much older than he is because of how big he is, but he started eating 4 ounces like very soon, very, very, very early on, and I could just not keep up with that. I tried. My supply started dwindling. He obviously needed to be fed, and I tried a few different things to keep up with, you know, making sure that he could still get breast milk. I tried switching over to exclusively pumping, and then things just went kaput. There was no more. So I had to do what I had to do, which is why it didn't last longer than 6 weeks, but I wish it would have. Once I did make the switch from breastfeeding, I did have a big mental weight lifted. Again, I never had baby blues. I never felt like I was struggling, but because I knew he wasn't getting enough and it was becoming stressful, once I just switched to formula, it took a huge weight off, and I felt really good, and I felt even more like myself than I already was, which was nice. So I personally am of the mindset, like, do what works for you, and that's just what ended up working for me. So I am really happy that I was able to breastfeed for 6 weeks. I 1000% would have done it for longer if I was able to, and if my supply was able to keep up, but it wasn't. So it is what it is. But my girls are the smallest they have ever been, ever. Oh my gosh, like from high school. I am down to a C cup, which is just on the small side for me because I've been a D or double D for ever since I got on birth control really young, which looking back I wouldn't have done, but that's a whole nother story. Got on birth control when I was 15, and I had size C boobs when I got on birth control, and then once I got on the birth control, they immediately went up to a D, and I had D boobs from 15 years old to now, and I'm 32. So yeah, it's just crazy. They do feel deflated. I don't know what other term to use, but I just ordered new bras because like mine are falling down. It's insane. So I would say that has probably been like physically the biggest adjustment is the size of my boobs absolutely declining, which whatever, is so small in the grand scheme of things. I have started having some thinning around my hairline, which I don't love. I don't love that for me at all. So I am doing all the things. I was already taking my ritual postnatal vitamin, so I'm still taking that. I'm taking an iron supplement, and then I'm taking Nutrafol. But I've only been taking it for like 4 days, so I will report back, but I do hope it helps. I feel like my eyebrows have shed a little bit, my lashes have shed, which is funny because I said that I felt like they had thinned out in my first trimester because of hormones, and I feel like they're doing it again. So hopefully they come back to life. I've been castor oiling them up, which I'm praying helps. Also, it is so depressing that it is getting dark now at 4 o'clock. I don't love that. But I would say that has been the other like biggest change that I've seen. One other side effect that I have noticed in postpartum is I did get KP bumps on the back of my arms and the tops of my thighs really badly, which is crazy. I've never had them on the tops of my thighs, so that also wasn't fun, but is what it is, you know. They are starting to go away. I have a few things that I've been using to help with that. It was just like the craziest, most random thing that I definitely wasn't expecting. And then I did at the beginning have really, really bad night sweats. I was waking up soaked multiple times a night, every single night for like the first month and a half. And it's funny, I actually had that happen last night, but I hadn't experienced night sweats in a while, but they were so real in the beginning. And when I was breastfeeding, I was so hungry, hungrier than when I was pregnant. It was actually crazy. I could not believe it. Aside from that, I feel like things are relatively normal. I wasn't able to go in for my OB follow-up appointment until 8 weeks, just because my doctor's schedule, and she had a huge vacation that I didn't know about. But I'm kind of glad it worked out that way, because even when I went in on my 8-week appointment, I was still healing a bit. I had a 2nd degree tear and I was still quite sore. And she just said that like the area where I was stitched was still healing up. But all was well. I got cleared at 8 weeks for all the things. Just actually is crazy what your body can do. I'm so mind blown, so perplexed. Like watching my bump shrink in size has been crazy. Watching everything heal down there has been crazy. I didn't look for a while, but you obviously, I don't know, you just get to a point where you're like, okay, what's the situation? How are we doing down there? And there was a moment or 2 or 3 even where I was like, oh. It wasn't like bad, but I was like, okay, I may accept that we're just not going to be 100% the same down there. But I'm 4 months now and everything looks exactly the same. So maybe that's TMI, but I feel like no one talks about these things and like tells you the deal. And those are things that I would like to know. So for me, everything is back to normal. I thought I was going to have a little bit of like scar tissue at first, but the body works wonders. The body is amazing and it's gone. So I haven't been brave enough to go back to waxing yet. I'll probably wait a little bit longer, honestly. And I will say I do feel whiter, but it is interesting. I feel like I'm whiter, but I'm flatter than I was before. Does that make sense? It's like my body literally just expanded. I did weigh myself just to see. I don't normally use a scale or even care about my weight, but obviously I've had a huge change happen, so I have been curious along the way. I am a pound over what I was when I got pregnant this time last year, which is crazy. This time last year I just found out I was pregnant, but I am a pound more than what I was. Honestly, I get asked about weight gain during pregnancy, what I weighed before, what I gained, what I weigh now, all the time, and I have never shared because it's just kind of irrelevant, to be honest. But I know that people are genuinely curious, especially because I had gestational diabetes. I think people want to know. But all that to say, I do think weight gain is so independent of each person that I feel like it's irrelevant to even share. but I am a pound over what I was before. I can't imagine being a pound less, if that makes sense at this point, especially with my boobs being deteriorated. Like, I can't lose any more weight. If anything, I want to gain weight because I did my lipstick combo backwards. I have lost any like ounce of muscle that I had, and I have not put it back on. So if anything, I would like to gain some muscle and put on some healthy weight. But it is crazy just seeing what your body can do from 9 months pregnant, having a whole human, to giving birth, to the transition to now, and what things are. Again, it's not exactly the same. It does look different. And I know that body changes are really difficult for some people, so I'm not undermining that at all. But for me, I just am of the mindset, like, my body did something so amazing and was able to carry and nourish my baby and was able to deliver him, and I was able to feed him for a short while. And so I don't know, I'm just accepting and very okay with the changes that I've had. Let's do a little spritz. Pretty much done with my makeup. I still very much love the MAC Fix Plus Spray. I think it's amazing. I love the scent, it's so nostalgic. All right, so Banksy is up from his nap. That didn't last long, but that's okay. At least we got a little something. And either Chris or I need to run out and pick up our grocery order. We're trying to be good about cooking at home again because we've been on a DoorDash diet for what feels like the past 3 months. Slowly but surely trying to get back into that. But this is the finished look. I, of course, will have everything that I used with the shade names linked down below if you want to check anything out. And again, there was a mix of drugstore and high-end or prestige brands that I used. But I've been loving how this combo has been working and turning out, which is nice. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, liked hearing all of the postpartum updates, sitting through this super chatty, super rambly video, hearing how Banksy is doing, how motherhood has been, all of that. I will sit down and try to do more of a like structured Q&A and take specific questions soon in the near future in one of my upcoming videos. But in the meantime, it was good to catch up. Let me know if you guys have any other questions that I maybe have missed in the chaos of these last 4 months. If you haven't noticed, I have been rolling out more vlogs, so those will be coming more frequently as well. But I'm just so happy that you all are here. I appreciate you for sticking around. I love you guys so much, and until next time.